Why do you think that at a time like this, and this is a question we always ask, that the South African business landscape is still so scarce when it comes to women's only companies or women in leadership positions?
Well, the reality, Lerato, is I think basically also women are very scared to fail. And that is culminated by a number of reasons. One, women are the custodians of their families. So when you think of going out there to venture in a business, the first thing that comes to mind is if this transaction doesn't do well, what is going to happen to my children? Who will pay my children's school fees? Who will pay my rent or my mortgage? So on and so forth. But having said that too, also, the corporate boardrooms are also not quite welcoming to women. We constantly have to fight for our space. Right. We constantly have to make sure that, you know, we are viewed in the same manner that men are viewed. Right. So that's a reality.
Let's talk about Wiphold. Lots of fanfare when the company was launched in the 1990s. You built up a portfolio of over 1 billion rands worth of an investment, but a few wrong turns, some people would say.
I don't know what those few wrong turns would be, because every business has its highs and lows, and the mere fact that Wiphold is still standing today, it's quite confirmation that it was established on very firm grounding. We have done very well since the inception of Wiphold. As you correctly indicate, that we're one of the first women company to be listed on the stock exchange. And 15 years later, there hasn't been any women grouping that has been listed on the stock exchange. And we continue to grow from strength to strength. And even with these challenges, these economic challenges, Wiphold is still firmly on its ground.
How much of the resources that you, or how much of the money that's been invested, transformed into cash or dividends, gets back into the mainstream, especially integrating rural women?
To date, we have distributed in excess of 67 million to our ordinary grassroots rural women. And what is key also to note is these rural women that we brought into the fold of becoming beneficiaries into Wiphold, they did not pay any cent to become shareholders in Wiphold. So for us, that was actually the best way in which we could show how women must be supported, particularly the rural women. And they continue to be shareholders of Wiphold. Currently, they own 32% actually of Wiphold. There is ordinary Wiphold. And if you say Wiphold is approximately 1.5 billion rand, for them to own 32% of one, it's quite significant, and we are proud.
Talk to us about your opinions on BEE, because a lot has been said about the merits and demerits, and Wiphold evolved around the time of this transformation, black economic empowerment agenda. Many people saying it needs a review because equity does not necessarily mean power. It does not necessarily mean black people becoming integrated into the mainstream economy.
I think you are correct to say that Wiphold evolved around the time when the new dispensation was coming into power. But what we quickly realized as the founders was that there was a dearth of opportunities for women. And therefore, we're not going to wait to be invited by men to come and participate. And therefore, we had to create a Wiphold. And the model of BEE, quite frankly, I don't think there's anything that can be done to change, other than obviously the key thing is to make sure that the pie is broadened, you know, it's extended to many other disenfranchised people to participate. And again, this is where we pride ourselves as Wiphold that we were the first BEE to make permanent broad base, you know, a reality. In 1997, when we extended the IPO to invite, you know, the ordinary women to become the shareholders of Wiphold, that's when we realized that we must extend the pie.